I'm Adam, and today we're going to be talking about how the Lantronix Local Manager can automatically recover devices that have lost their operating systems, which also dovetails with a feature called zero-touch provisioning, where if a device doesn't have its operating system, the Lantronix Local Manager can take staged operating systems and configurations and automatically configure devices that are connected to it. Overview first, what are we talking about? We're talking about network management with a console server. The Lantronix Local Manager is a terminal console server that has some intelligence built into it. So it's able to do things like log into your routers and switches, check their status, and take backups of your configurations and OS images. Now, because we have a backup of your OS image on the local manager, and because we're monitoring those devices, when something happens like a router reboots into Ronmon, we're able to detect that, take our backups, and automatically restore that device to service. So, how's that work? Well, let me show you. First, let's log into our Lantronix Control Center. We're going to be working with this local manager today, which is one of our modular LM83Xs. This one has two of our dedicated Ethernet cards and one of our serial cards in there for a total of 16 serial and 16 Ethernet connections. And in this case, we're using these Ethernet connections to go directly to the network management port of these routers and switches, essentially replacing the management network. If instead of the dedicated Ethernet cards, you're using the management network, this works the same way. It's just going to go over that management switch. We're going to go ahead and log into this device. This is a 3925, and as you can see, we are monitoring its status. We're gathering things like CPU, memory, host name, and serial number. We're going to go ahead and log into the local manager itself and get a quick dashboard view of our devices, and we're going to go to port 14 where this router is. And again, each port on the local manager gets its own directory for file backups. And in addition to the running config and the startup config, we have a backup of the OS image for this router. So to go ahead and simulate an outage, we're going to terminal on in, and we're going to go ahead and delete that image. So now, if this was a production site, this wouldn't be immediately destructive. But if there was a power event, and imagine if the boot register was wrong instead of me deleting this OS image. But when this router reboots, it's going to go ahead and to Ronmon, it's going to stop routing, and it would cause an outage at that site. So we're going to log out. Now, in order to show kind of what happens and how this works, we're going to open up another terminal session here, and we're going to show you what happens behind the scenes as this device does the auto recovery of this router. So we'll go back to the same port, and we'll use a feature we call a terminal shadow, which lets users watch what's happening on a port non-interactively. And so you can see here's our Cisco driver monitoring some interfaces and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and tell the local manager to reboot that device. Now, I have a switched PDU attached, so I could have power cycled it instead, but what I'm having our driver do is reboot it using the proper commands. Now, it'll take a moment, but this guy's going to reboot into Ronmon, at which point our driver is going to start having trouble. Now, if this was an actual outage instead of me kind of staging this, this would happen a little more automatically. I'm going to have to cancel out of this command here. But the same thing works for zero-touch provisioning, where let's say you needed to provision a bunch of routers or switches. You can stage startup configurations and OS images on the local manager, and then when we detect a Cisco without a startup config or without its OS image, our driver is going to go ahead and install those staged files on that device without user intervention. So it's an automated way to provision devices as well as a method of auto-recovering devices that have lost their configurations or OS images in the field. So, like I said, it's my reboot command is trying to log in. It can't, obviously, there. And so it gets in there and immediately pretty much detects that it's in Ronmon. You see here it says, we're going to attempt recovery here. So now that, of course, involves putting an IP address on that router. So there that goes. That was real fast. And then it's going to go ahead and download the backup from the local manager terminal console server down to itself onto Flash. And once it's finished that, it'll reboot and restore itself to service. Here we go. And these events, of course, are logged as we do it. And all of this information is sent up to the control center as well. So if we look here, we're going to see right here, this device is in Ronron. So if this was an actual outage, this local manager would have activated its out-of-band connection, probably a cellular modem, and it would be able to report this information back to your other tools. So SolarWinds or other SNMP tools, syslog. It can also email you with that sort of information. And the goal of that, of course, is to give you, the network admin, better information about what's causing the outage so that you can more quickly remediate the situation. Let's go back here. It's rebooted, or is rebooting rather, and in a moment we'll be back up and running. We'll see our automated driver begin its chassis and interface monitors. And within a few moments, the local manager will have automatically restored this router to service.